So Khalil Roundtree just got a really great win over Jamal Hill this past weekend, but nobody cares about it. Why? Because the big news of the weekend is that Jon Jones has officially retired. Finally. Everyone's making a big deal about how him ducking Aspinall hurts his legacy or something. My hot take is that I don't think this hurts his legacy at all. Was he ducking Aspinall? For sure. But so what? He's 37 years old, so I think he's at the age where he can retire for any reason he wants. No matter how good a fighter is, they're always going to get to an age where they start to slow down, and there's going to be younger guys chasing after them. Just to put things into perspective, Khabib is 36, so he's 1 year younger than Jon Jones, and he retired almost 5 years ago. If he were still in the UFC at this point, you know Ilia Topuria would be chasing after a fight with him to take him down. And Khabib would have every right to retire, because the Khabib of 5 years ago would give the current Ilia Topuria a much more competitive fight than a 36-year-old Khabib. The same is true of Jon Jones. The Jon Jones that fought Daniel Cormier would be much more dangerous against Tom Aspinall than the 37-year-old Jon Jones of today. So yes, of course he's ducking Aspinall, along with everyone else in the heavyweight division who's younger than him and has the advantage of being in their fighting prime. The point of retiring is to leave the sport once you no longer have what it takes to compete with the younger guys, and I think it's totally fair for Jon Jones to call it quits, and in no way does it affect his legacy in my opinion. The only reason he didn't retire after beating Gon is that he wanted to fight Stipe, who was also old and out of his prime. Now I don't think the fight really added anything to Jones' resume because that wasn't the same Stipe as the one who was dominating the heavyweight division in his prime. He was acting like he beat the greatest heavyweight of all time, but when you fight the so-called greatest heavyweight of all time, the timing matters. Jake Paul beat Mike Tyson, but that doesn't mean he's a greater boxer than Mike Tyson or something, because Mike Tyson was pushing 60 when they fought. In the same way, Aspinall getting a win over Jones isn't nearly as significant as it would be had that fight happened 5 years ago. So while I don't think retiring to avoid the Aspinall fight puts a stain on his legacy in any way, it's still a huge relief that he retired because now we can finally get things moving again. It's really a shame that he held up the division so much. I think he should have done this a long time ago instead of pretending like he was interested in the Aspinall fight, which I doubt he ever was. I honestly don't know why the UFC gave him so much time to decide when it quite literally cost them hundreds of thousands of dollars, possibly millions, to have given up so many potential heavyweight fights over the last 3 years. There was some news that came out that supposedly Jones is being charged for a hit and run that happened back in February. Now I don't know if his retirement has anything to do with that. I'll just leave it at that. To this day, I still think Jon Jones is the GOAT because of the sheer number of title defenses he has, and the fact that he became champion and defended his belt in 2 divisions. It's hard to dispute how massive that achievement is. A lot of people like to say that he's disqualified from being the GOAT because of being popped for PEDs, but even if you erase those wins from his record that were tied to PED use, his resume is still kind of insane. Now going forward, Aspinall has vowed to be a really active champion, so I think the next few years are going to be really exciting for the heavyweight division. And Tom Aspinall is awesome, much more exciting and overall better fighter than Jones at this time. And as for his next opponent, I think Ciryl Gane is kind of the obvious choice. Though it seems kind of weird given that he's already had 2 opportunities to fight for the belt and lost both of them very decisively. But like, who else should fight for the belt instead? The next ranked guy is Alexander Volkov, but he just lost to Ciryl Gane, so that doesn't really make any sense. Even though the decision for that fight was kind of sus, Ciryl Gane officially won that fight, so it wouldn't really make sense to give it to Volkov. Plus, we've already seen Volkov fight Aspinall, and Aspinall made easy work of him, so it's a little less interesting to me than the Gane fight. Gane has really great footwork, and I've always been a fan of his stand-up. That being said, the path to victory here is really straightforward for Aspinall. I think it'll be fairly easy for him to take him down and submit him. Down the road, I'm really curious to see how Jailton Almeida does against Aspinall. He has such explosive takedowns and great finishing abilities. In a way, he kind of reminds me of Khamzat Chimaev. I honestly think the Derek Lewis fight was just a bizarre performance, and unfortunately it made a lot of fans hate him and label him as a crotch sniffer, because objectively speaking, his finish rate is ridiculously high. He has 23 wins, and the only decision win he has was against Derek Lewis. I think Almeida is someone who can give Aspinall a real run for his money when it comes to athleticism and technical ability, in a division where the bar is very low for both technique and athleticism. Let me know who you guys think will be Aspinall's most interesting fight in the near future. If you want to support me and help me make more videos, you can become a channel member, which also gets you access to my weekly picks on my community page. Thanks for watching.